He hits record and I start
What a
coughing.
great time to start. Do you see that podcast? You mean the one where that guy died?
Oh, okay. Alrighty, everybody ready?
Sure.
For Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, it's the Serenno Squadcast, the official podcast of the Serenno Squad. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm Gunner. And today we've got Paul, we've got Wayne, and we've got Evan. Woo-hoo. Evan, you've got what do you have there?
He's got stuff in front of him.
I'm in a different spot. I'm upstairs now, so I'm on like a little table, so I got some stuff that I got
Nice.
Director Krennic over here, and I got the helmet, the box that my Black Series Boba Fett helmet came in.
Sweet. So we can talk about that in a little bit. Nice.
I just want to tell you that just looking at the phone camera here, the Krennic looks an awful like a Ken doll.
It
is a Barbie.
It does very much look like a Ken doll. I mean, it's a good-looking Ken doll.
It's like one of those specialty collector's edition Barbie dolls.
I've got one of the Naboo handmaidens. I've got one of those from episode 1. Yeah, it was my sister's. So I found it in a box of old toys. I was like, oh my gosh. The only thing that's missing is it had a mask that would have Natalie Portman's actual face. But when you take the mask off, it's got the white done up handmaiden.
No, was there still blood stains or had it dried out because it was her actual face?
Yes, no, it's a mask. It's a really cheesy looking toy, like, because it's it doesn't look like it's actually on the Barbie's head. But we lost the cheesy looking Uncanny Valley mask, and I've got the nice makeup finish, which is cool.
So you have just the Amidala version, not the Leatherface version.
Not the Leatherface version. Yeah. But enough Barbie talk.
I don't know.
We don't really have any Legion news this week.
I can't prove it, but I could have sworn it seemed like it anyway that they put out more stuff for episode 1 than they did the entire original trilogy.
They did.
It was
put out a lot
good
of episode
time.
1 stuff.
Yeah.
If you could put a Star Wars logo on it, they'd probably put it out somewhere.
And you can still find a lot of that stuff online. A lot of it unopened, still boxed and sealed. And it's funny that half the fans don't want anything to do with it.
I do wish I had one of the Jar Jar tongue toys or tongue candy.
Ew.
Because it was his mouth. It was like plastic was his mouth, and it opened up, and the tongue was in the middle, and that was the candy. So you literally made out with Jar Jar to eat the candy.
That's disgusting.
How many kids made out with Jar Jar?
I've got the electric
Not very
bed
many.
dispenser if you want it.
There you go. That's not nearly as fun.
I don't know if I want to start a Jar Jar collection or not.
I'll gladly take a Jar Jar, but I'm not going to start my own collection now. No way. So, no Legion news as far as we know. But we do have some channel updates. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out the TIE Pilot suit-up video.
I watched it just a few minutes before coming on here.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So,
Peter.
Wait, what was that?
It was Peter, not Evan.
Oh my God.
Oh, you said me?
I didn't even realize it. Yeah, it's Peter. Yeah. No, Evan, you're right here. No, it was Peter. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I have no idea who the guy is, No. Peter and I, we've been talking for a while. Different projects, actually. Been doing some Spaceball cosplay research. I'm working on trying to also get a Tron helmet done because they're really hard to come by. But yeah, Peter.
Watch
What's that?
the the prop show on Disney Plus. They give you
Yeah.
lots of good close-ups of Tron stuff.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
we could make one out of foam, man.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
there's literally were.
Yeah, and what masking tape really wasn't much of anything, but yeah, that's actually what kindled all this and what inspired us to get to look into that costume, both Tron and darn, I can't think of the other guy's name. Flynn. There we go. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. But he was the first of the squad members to do a suit up video, so congrats to him. The thing was pretty simple. Once you watch it all the way through, it's not really all that many parts if you were trying to do a 181st fighter. It could be I guess you would have to pay for the helmet and the boxes and stuff like that, but and the suit, but that's really, you can count all those things on one hand. That's not too much to get into if you're trying to start and do something different too. It's not your standard TIE fighter.
I might see if I can record one this weekend. I've been meaning to do one.
Yeah,
I want to do one. I want to do one for my Sand Trooper, but I kind of also don't want to be in spandex on camera.
That's the one I want you to do. I want to see the Sand Trooper. I don't care too much for you in spandex, but I do want to see the Sand Trooper. I figured that's the one you would go for.
You let me know, because mostly I'm just there to see Paul dance. I'm going to swing by the bank, hit the ATM, get $20 in ones, blim.
We should do a suit up.
Make it rain.
For all three of us, and then you can splice it next to each other. So you can watch all three of us suit up and see who suits up best.
Oh, so it's a competition now.
I think it just became a competition.
Well, it could if anybody will just make more videos.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do is the TIE reserve pilot, and
I think I have an advantage over these two though. I can get dressed by myself.
That is an
need
advantage.
help with the belt. I can do the belt if need be, but it's not very tight.
That's because you don't have a belt on your Sand Trooper, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't have a thermal detonator. They don't have one.
How do you put the belt on by yourself?
You
You've
pull
got to
and
have
there's
the piece
Velcro.
of Velcro stuck to the armor, and then it's sewed on the inside, so you can tighten it, then pull the other one over.
Yep. Yeah, we've talked about doing that before.
Yeah, that would be a good one. And then maybe on down the line, Evan, you could do a Boba Fett. Really like to see that one because there's so many.
Nobody's got an hour and a half to sit and watch that.
Yeah,
that's the magic of editing.
Time lapse.
I can take care of it.
15 minutes of Heather standing on a step stool, like trying to cram these screw-on things onto my shoulders, and her just like banging me upside of the head, like stop moving.
Yeah, that'll all be cut out. All cut out. But when you look at Boba Fett really, really close, you can see there's a lot of details, a lot of things that you wouldn't. It almost looks like he has little braids and ponytails. But
he's got three Wookiee braids pinned to one side of his suit. Right.
So it's a different one. It'll be cool to see up close. A lot of people probably haven't seen it, but that's something to look forward to. Yeah. What were you saying you would like to do, Wayne?
I'd probably just do a Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper?
It's the quickest, easiest. It's my favorite to wear. So.
Not even easier than the gunner?
Hold on. I need to show you something.
Oh. We have a special guest. Chewie.
Yes,
hey, Chewie.
What are you doing?
Okay, stinky breath, I'm sure.
Yeah, very stinky. You got a bath today, though.
Nice.
Okay. Oh.
All right, Wayne, what you got? Oh, here he comes. He's coming back. He has something Paul is waving a lightsaber.
This is the gunner helmet right now.
Okay. Looks a little rough.
Yeah. You know why?
What'd you do?
Peeled most of that off of it. That's how much paint was on there.
Wow. How did it come off that way?
I used a hair dryer to heat it.
Oh, wow.
And then a butter knife, and I would just peel underneath and then peel up, peel underneath.
Cool. Very cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that with my armor. It would probably melt the PLA.
It definitely would melt the plastic underneath, yes.
Yeah. But still, neat technique. I like that.
I'm gonna sand it tomorrow and use some black filler primer to fill in all the little scrapes and whatever. And then I'm gonna hit it with some shiny black and then clear coat it.
Nice.
So it doesn't get messed up like it did.
Yeah, do it right. It'll last. I mean, it's last this whole time. It's just you've normally just sand it a little bit and then throw on another coat.
Yeah. So that was the quick fix. This is the strip it back down to what it was when Paul and I first got it built, and then fix the little imperfections and kind of go from there. As a matter of fact, I might do some two-part epoxy where the lip comes around and fill that in and make it look like all one piece.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as you get that one done, get it nice and pretty and make a suit-up video, man. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
And the Stormtrooper, for sure. Definitely want is every, I don't know, CRL. What do you call them? Just every costume that we have. Is that the appropriate thing to call them? Us 501st members, we have our costumes. I mean, we are a costume.
It's what they
Yeah,
are.
I mean,
They're
pretty much what
costumes.
they are.
I know you can call armor kits or armor, but
I mean, you could say like I'm putting on my kit. Like that's a common thing that people would say.
right, rather than a costume.
Or just like I'm putting on my armor. Like, hey, here's where my armor is stored. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind calling it costume. I like dressing up. It's great.
If it's like a mix
fun.
if it's like a good mix of soft and hard costume parts, like my first order tie, I feel like I wouldn't want to call it armor, and I wouldn't really want to call it like a uniform. I would probably just call that a costume.
Right.
I always
That's
feel
like-
weird when people call it a uniform. It's like,
Yeah.
this
It's
is
not
a uniform. I'm a plastic spaceman.
Yeah. We're not official. We're not military. We've gotten that. Especially, I mean, it was ironic that we did do that troop for Toys for Tots with Marines. So they're like, oh, you guys are Marines too? You're the ones that dress up. It's like, we're not soldiers. No,
When
we
was that
just
one?
dress up.
That was Christmas time.
Yeah.
I think I missed that one. I think I was at the place that shall not be named.
Premiere.
Oh, yeah, that might have been the premiere week.
Sorry, I'm not
Might
supposed to
have
say that anymore because then I'm sure it's part of someone's drinking game.
Yeah, you have to drink.
Evan's already working on it. So
Sorry, I'm just far too in love with this thing.
yeah.
People listening on audio don't have any idea, but I'm playing with a new lightsaber.
It is
that's all I want.
a
to look
very
at.
bright blue lightsaber.
Yes, it is.
There's no
crazy
sound for
bright.
that, right?
No sound.
Is that a stunt? Is that what they call that? Or
I don't know.
yeah.
But
Yeah, you could
no.
call it that, like a stunt hilt that doesn't have any sound. You
Yeah,
just
there's
make the
no
sounds
sound.
with your mouth.
Wow, wow.
To be honest, the only sound that's cool is the start up and start down. Because
Does it do
otherwise
that?
no. It just, because I have the toy ones that make the noise too, and they're just like
Yeah.
the whole time you're holding it.
Yeah. Unless you have Kylo's lightsaber that has all the pops and crackles, it's like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which I'll be upgrading mine pretty soon.
Ooh. Upgrading how?
There's a guy named there's a couple of people who do saber conversions. This guy, he does saber conversions for the Knights of Ren Facebook group. His name's Stephen Powell. So he's basically going to take my Disney Park saber and he pulls all the guts out and he pulls the blades out and he pulls the LEDs out of the blades and puts in all new LEDs. He puts in a new soundboard, puts in a new speaker, new rechargeable battery, and then like it's a completely new thing. It uses a CFX board, which you can have all sorts of fonts and things like that. So it's gonna be pretty intense. Is it what?
Is it upgradable? Like over time, can you add stuff to it?
Yeah, you can add, like, I could make it, I could get a saber font for Obi-Wan, or I could get like a custom saber font or whatever I want to do, and I can make it blue or green or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it like a chassis that you can take out universally?
Yeah,
and so so after this, you'll have a chassis that you could put in an empty hilt maybe of another saber that they sell?
Probably not, because the way that it's a NeoPixel lightsaber, so it doesn't just turn LEDs on. It's connected to like the NeoPixel connectors that the blades plug into, and there's 3 blades because it's a Kylo Ren. So I don't think I'd be able to swap, but
Right.
if you were smart enough, you probably could.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not.
I think you're smart, buddy.
I could figure it out, but that would be a lot of work.
Where'd Wayne go? Lean in close to the camera or bring the helmet close. How did the gaps on the sides come out? Are they holding better? Like right here, it was always a little bendy.
Yeah, and actually, hold on, I've got a thing for that. I was also working on that as well. Check this out.
Wayne is going outside of his room to get something else.
We lost Wayne.
While he's gone, the Kylo saber, it does the animation of igniting and turning off, right?
There's multiple different styles you can do. So apparently the New Hope is delayed, where the main blade comes on and then the 2 side blades come on. And then apparently there's 3 separate sound fonts and styles for Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. Are all 3 vastly different.
Because of course they are.
Of course they are.
They have to be.
Nothing can ever be the same.
No.
What you got, Wayne?
Hold on.
Don't rush him.
Entertain the people.
Too impatient.
These poor audio listeners. We could describe what we're seeing. Wayne is holding his gunner helmet. I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
He's doing something.
It looks very intense.
Oh, he pulled something out.
There's a white thing.
He's got what might be a piece of plastic or a piece of metal.
Piece of metal.
Piece of metal.
If I can put this on correctly, I can get it to push out on the sides like it's supposed to, but stay out of the way while it's doing it.
Well, alrighty then.
Oh, that's a little too far. Anyway, don't mind me. Keep talking.
All right. Well, I was going to move on to our next topic, or I guess we could skip this to another one. We'll talk about our projects that we got going on. Wayne,
good segue.
You've got that right there going on. Obviously, your gunner helmet. Now, are you also working on your TIE pilot as well?
I am.
What are you working on? Your helmet or everything?
Repainting the whole thing.
Boxes, all that good stuff.
All of it. I got the new buttons. Actually, I got the new ones for this and for the tie.
Sweet.
Did you get new cogs and everything too?
Yeah, they just haven't shown up yet.
Okay.
We're gonna have all new ties.
I'm so much happier with mine. It looks so much better.
Wayne, are
It
you
looks so
repainting
good
your
in video.
tie?
Huh?
Are you repainting your tie as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm repainting. It's actually over in Paul's shed right now. I was going to go tomorrow and sand down the clear coat and put some not wax polish on it and give it that sheen, and they're done. All I need is the cogs and the buttons, and I can put the box together and put all the stuff on it, and it's done.
Nice.
Nice.
'Cause I'm seriously considering taking Jason up on that helmet that I built for him and just use that, and when he's ready for another one, I'll just buy him one.
Solid idea.
Come up with a different paint scheme.
I think I might do the same paint scheme. I'm just using a different color paint this time. Where before I was all silver. Now I went with this.
Now, if you're going for approval for a TIE pilot or something like that,
Yes.
do you have to be approved with a spick and span clean kit, or is there a way of being approved for a like a roughed up version, like a weathered version?
For any
battle.
costume, you can have an acceptable amount of weathering. Like, because everything in the movies is weathered and a little worn, and there's one of the pilots in the movies is missing a chunk of his cog on his helmet, and
oh wow, that's
but yeah, don't go overboard with it, because I remember there was one biker scout submission we saw, and we joked that it looked like the moon landed on him because he was filthy. He was like brown instead of white armor.
He did not want to be one of the clean ones.
No, he was. In fact, I know clones you have to weather. You cannot submit a shiny clone unless it's a specific CRL that asks for that. And especially the animated ones are very dirty. You really got to dirty them up.
Even the phase one, like yours, Wayne, with the metallic visor.
Yep.
Okay, so you couldn't do a clean one of those like you see at the end of the Attack of the Clones.
No, because even in those shots, there are little bits of weathering. There's little bits of marks here and there. Nothing is perfect.
Wow, even out of the clone factory, it's not perfect.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
Well, standards are very low.
They spend years training, and they use that armor through training.
So there is a little history to it. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Ooh, that is nice. Was it like gunmetal gray?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I think that looks way better than silver.
Yeah, I did too.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I can do that.
Because that's what it looks like in the movie when you see the pilot with the two stripes. They're like very kind of dark gray.
What is that? A New Hope?
Yeah, A New Hope is when you see the pilot with the stripes on his helmet. And his neck's gone.
Yep.
That's what
Wayne
happens when there's no liner in the helmet.
It's the
It's
Barney
great.
Rubble Cooper.
Wow.
But
But as far as any of the your fabric and whatnot, that's all going to stay the same.
Oh
There's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
you can really do with that.
And the belt, the gun, gloves. I may get one of the rubber comm pads.
Very cool. I'm working on the Commander Bly, and the last time that we were talking, I had mentioned that I was making my belt out of foam, like the EVA foam or whatever, really thin. And I had spray painted it. And at the time, it was less than 24 hours of drying time. And I knew that it would crack, and it cracks. And when it flexes, you can see the cracks. When it doesn't flex, you can't see the cracks. And it's not going to really matter for my belt, but I was working on my shoes and my boots. And I was telling you guys that my armor, my calf armor is just so tight and my ankles are so tight that the shoes with the padding and the liner that's on the back of the kind of tongue of the boot, it's way too thick to go underneath the calf armor. And so I was thinking, well, what on earth can I find and use? Because I can't go this route that I did with the belt. The belt, I can dirty it up, and there's only about this much space in between the boxes that you could see cracks and stuff. So it's really nothing noticeable. But for the shoes, I wanted it to be, a lot better. And what I have is some really thin black vinyl, and it's kind of like soft on one edge and it's black on the other side. And I went to Lowe's to try to figure out what kind of paint I could use, because I know that the stuff I'm using now, the Rust-Oleum, is just going to crack. And they don't have any vinyl stuff, but they did have Flex Seal. I don't know if you guys used Flex Seal for any of your costumes.
No.
Have you?
I would not recommend it either.
And why?
Because it's going to gum up.
Okay. So I tried it out on this vinyl, and I did it versus just spray paint. And I let it cure for 24 hours and everything. And, you pull apart the regular spray paint, and it just cracks and busts all to pieces. And I actually threw the sample away and took the trash out, so I don't have that. But I kept the sample with the Flex Seal, and it actually works perfect, man. I mean, as far as making it look like white leather, like vinyl, you can't, stretch it without, it's not going to rip or nothing.
Is this the spray? Is like a spray paint?
Yeah, it actually came in a can this big for $4. I saw it sitting on the edge of the counter, and the can was actually, the lid was busted off. And I just stopped and I was like, maybe this will work. And when you say it'll gum up, I know exactly what you mean, because as soon as it's not like spray paint where you spray it and it's a fine mist that's like a kind of a thin kind of coat. It comes out solid, like just splats it on there. But when you do it on something like this vinyl, and you can see like
I wonder if it will work on my rubber clone bill.
That's actually what I was getting to, is I think I'm at some point I might redo my belt, and I could try the Flex Seal. But yeah, it probably would work. I would test it and see.
Well, I'm going to try my idea first. If it doesn't work, then that'll give me something to try. But the first thing I'm going to try, since spray paint's just cracking and flaking off of it, I was thinking of using shoe polish, white shoe polish, and just stain the belt white.
Yep. Now that's the rubber belt, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it'll take it like that? And
it should. It's going to take a few coats, but yeah, it should.
Right.
And it should dry right, because if you take your leather shoes and such, it dries and it's still got to give. It doesn't crack and break and all that,
Yeah, as long as it's not that traditional spray paint, won't do that, I'm sure. But look, you can see that it's like splatter. It doesn't have like a fine mist. It really splatters out there. But what you get is, it looks like, so this is going to be the thin tongue that I'm going to replace mine with, that will go up easily underneath, and it'll be a solid piece. So Flex Seal on vinyl. So far it's working.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd like to hear what what it would do on rubber if we had some extra rubber laying around.
Now, you
Gotta
said
hold
you
up.
said you did your belt out of the EVA foam. Did you
Mhm.
just paint the foam directly?
I primed it, put primer on it first, and then painted
Okay.
it.
Because
Yeah.
I know from all the people, I researched Mass Effect costumes for a while, and they always make theirs out of EVA foam. They always said to put a Plastidip or something like that on it first, and then paint it.
Oh.
Because if you just
Gotcha.
painted it straight, if you just painted straight onto the foam, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't
Right.
look right.
Yeah, and it on something like a big piece of armor or something with a lot of surface area, it probably wouldn't look good at all.
Yeah.
But with the belt, I'm not really concerned about it, and plus, I don't know where I'm gonna get a flexible coating that comes in the yellow that I need for Bly's belt. I could do all the white over again in the Flex Seal stuff, but the yellow. But it doesn't look bad. It's not terrible. So if they tell me that it's so bad in the approval, I'll obviously have to change it. But as far as the 10-foot rule or whatever goes, it's not going to be noticeable at all. But yeah, just got that and the comma, and I'll be done with the clone. Hopefully, as far as
Yay!
that will be exciting. Maybe I can get it done before we go back trooping again.
I mean, it sounds like you don't have much left to do, and it'll probably be a hot minute till we troop again, unfortunately.
Yeah, but this is all soft stuff. This is the comma, which is like the the little skirt, if you will.
Yeah.
And then the shoes being leather. Both of these I'm gonna have to. Well, I might not for the shoes. I might not have to do any sewing, but for the comma at least I'm gonna have to. And that's probably why these are the last things I have to do, is because they're not at all. I can't sand it and Bondo it and spray paint it. So.
Well, at least the commas are basically a big rectangle. It's not complicated sewing.
No, it's not, but I'm not the best, so I'm gonna have to get my wife to help me with that one.
Is there like a trim or anything on it, or is it just one solid color?
It's just one solid color, but it does have like around the border, it's sewn all the way around, and it's got a cut, like a triangle cut at the very bottom in the middle.
Right.
But no, it's other than that, it's not anything. And then I guess I do got to figure out how I'm gonna get clips. It looks like in the CRL videos that someone grabbed some suspenders, the clips from suspenders on, like for your pants or whatever, and that clip is what hooks to that command hook, and has that's what it looks like according to the CRL photos. There's no description for what it is. And I highly doubt it's accurate to the movie, because I'm sure that they designed, for the clone commander, some type of clip, even if it was CGI and it was just a little block. I don't think they CGI'd actual suspender clips. But maybe it's canon. I don't know. We'll
They
find out.
probably just used some part that was close enough, something that they could easily get, because once you start talking about like metal clips and stuff, it becomes increasingly hard to make them or find them.
Oh yeah.
Darth Revan had the same problem. The first couple versions of the costume, they were using like actual keyring rings along the bottom edge, because the Revan's chest armor has rings that hang from it, and they were using literal just key rings.
Well,
Yeah. It's always fun when you try to figure out how to make something that didn't exist in reality exist in reality.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Reality.
yeah, it's the beauty of 3D printing too. It's magical. So you guys, being Paul and Evan, you guys are working on maybe some Jedi costumes.
Yes.
That's the theory.
Evan,
Yep.
You've got some new boots.
Yeah, I picked these up on Amazon. They're just Phantasma boots. Phantasma is people in the 501st are probably familiar with Phantasma boots. They
Yeah,
have
I've
all
got
sorts
Phantasma jack boots.
Yep, they make all sorts of costume boots. They make a couple of different versions of a brown boot, but I didn't like their plain boot just because I don't like that weird square toe, and I also really like Anakin Skywalker style, like the spat on the boot.
What do you think?
So,
Better?
Let me back up a little bit.
What are we looking at? What do you improve? The sides?
Yeah.
Is that what the metal was?
Yeah. It's still
So it's like a brace?
Yeah, kind of.
Turn it back again?
Hold on. This side needs to come out a little bit more. Keep talking.
All right. Evan, continue the boot review.
Anyway, these boots are theoretically approvable in Saber Guild and Rebel Legion because they're just typical Anakin Skywalker style. So they got the spat and they got 3 straps along them. I like it because it's just a little bit differently, especially when you're talking about a Jedi. A Jedi's pretty plain up and down, so it kind of gives a little hint of just something a little cool. And I really like the tread as well. It's a nice aggressive tread, but it zips on the inside. So you can't really see the zipper. It makes it really comfortable. When you buy, a lot of people, if you buy some really nice like equestrian boots, or other sellers will make like brown boots for Jedi, really expensive, but they won't have the zipper, so you have to cram your foot into it. And I have a pair of those for my officer, for my Director Krennic, and those are just miserable. So I really like these. They fit really well. I'm a size 12 or 13, and I picked size 12. 12 to 13 was the size. And it's a little big, which is good because it'll give me room for an insole. And they move really well, which is important for Saber Guilds because I'm going to be running around.
You're going to be doing backflips.
Yeah, maybe not quite backflips, but yeah. It has some cool stitching detail here on the heel as well. So it's not just plain. It's kind of it's not plain, but it's also not super like crazy. It's not aggressive with buckles all over it and stuff. Like it's still pretty conservative, and yeah, it's nice. Fits really well. Looks good. So we'll see.
It's funny. He spent $50 on his Jedi boots. I spent $300 on my Jedi boots.
Wait, where are your Jedi boots then?
They're in the closet in the other room.
But those are Obi-Wan boots. There's a difference between generic boots and then boots for a specific character.
Yeah. They don't make generic boots for Obi-Wan. Nobody makes that style.
Yeah.
So I had to reach out to a dude who's in Peru, I think is where he was.
Geo?
JDOS.
Okay.
They're extremely comfortable because it's literally custom made for my leg. Like we traced my foot on a piece of paper, and then he's like, okay, take a measurement over this piece of your foot, this piece of your foot, here at the ankle, at the there, here. So it was like 5 or 6 measurements all along from like below my knee down to my toes, and sent all that to him, and he made it. And it's like they're crazy comfortable. They don't have a zipper on them. They lace up. So under the spat, it Velcros on, it laces all the way up, and so I pull it really tight.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds good. We gotta get that on camera.
Yeah, seriously.
So you guys both have the boots. How far else along are you as far as your ensemble goes?
Since I had made a costume previously, but it was a learning experience is what we'll call it. Pieces didn't come out quite the way we wanted them to. So we are redoing the entire tunic. So I have the pants, the undershirt is good. We're gonna redo the under tunic, which is just a dickie. It literally just covers this piece right here. We're gonna redo that, and I have the belt. I have pouches for the belt that I just paid for on Monday, so they should be shipping out to me. They're coming from a Legion member in Richmond. So
sweet.
Nice.
So does the costume that you have right now, or the robes, they just don't hang off of you right, or they don't look right, or they don't work?
It looks okay. The biggest problem is the tabards, the piece that runs along here vertically. When we were making them, it was a pattern that was very limited run because it's a little too close to the actual patterns and it's not licensed. There was a pattern for Anakin and there's a pattern for Obi-Wan, and their tabards are slightly different. We put basically Anakin tabards, which are wider, on an Obi-Wan costume, and it didn't look right. It looked like I had wings. They came out too far. We tried
Because
to adjust
Anakin's
it.
are supposed to be leather, right, or vinyl, so they would be a little bit more stiff.
Well, Anakin has cloth ones underneath, and then he has the leather ones over top.
Oh.
Yes, Anakin, even as a Jedi, was a drama queen with multiple layers.
It runs in the family.
Yes. And just on the whole, we just wanted to redo it. It was like we learned a lot making it, and also I lost a bunch of weight. And so it's like we can just learn how to do it in the process. Like, okay, if we do this again, we can do it way better.
So the patterns that you got those were a quick run. I've seen that there are popular patterns from, like, I guess the prequel series, because that's about the time that that's when we first got to see what a Jedi kind of looked like in their prime. Before that, you did get old Ben in his Jedi robes. He kind of was really robed out, though, with the cloak. You couldn't really see all of the, detail underneath, but it really wasn't until then that we got to see what a Jedi looks like, and or a Jedi Knight, whatever. And I think there was a really popular pattern that people would buy from, like, Joann's or Walmart or wherever they sold. Are you familiar with those? And do you know if people still use those?
We've got a variety of patterns. The best one, it was released in like 2005, 2006. And most of the patterns you see are unlicensed, which is kind of funny if you look through the pattern catalogs. It's like, this isn't a hobbit. This is a short forest dweller. It's really funny as they try to avoid all the copyrights.
Don't draw any attention to it.
Yeah, these patterns got a little too close, and so they kind of got stop making that pattern.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, so that pattern got pulled. But if you can find it, which it goes for crazy expensive on eBay.
Wait, is this the Hobbit one?
No, I just use that as a weird example because that was the first thing my brain went to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, if you look around, I have the number of it somewhere. You can search on eBay. Before we found ours, because we lost them, it was like $150 on eBay for a pattern that sells brand new for less than $20.
Wow.
Now,
and
when you say
on sale, you can get for like $5.
It looks good.
That is looking good.
Yeah,
Wayne's helmet looks good. It looks flush.
Yeah, it'll look even better when I can get the thing in there, the visor.
Those patterns that you get, are they just like one size, or do they have multiple sizes on one pattern?
They cover multiple sizes. If you get somebody who knows what they're doing sewing wise, they'll tell you how to look on the pattern, and it'll literally say sizes.
Cool. Nice.
So if you go to Joann's, in the center of the store, there's going to be a whole bunch of tables just sitting there. There's going to be catalogs piled up on the tables. Those are all the pattern books, and almost all the major companies who make patterns have a costume section in that book. So you just flip to it and you can look at the costumes.
Cool. I do know the racks that you were talking about. I've seen them recently.
So I've spent many a Saturday afternoons at Joann's going through those books.
I've never looked at patterns before because I don't have a sewing machine or any know-how to do it.
Yet.
Not yet.
Yet.
So as far as your Jedi ensemble goes, Evan, you've got boots. What else?
So I got boots. I have a saber on order from Electrum Saber Crafts. That should be here. It said about 8 weeks. It may be some extra time because I have them doing some extra weathering. So I ordered it on May 4th, so it's June 9th now. So I'm thinking another month at least before I get that saber.
Nobody is going to fight a naked man in boots and a weapon.
Nobody's going to fight him, and nobody's going to watch him fight either.
Florida man found with Jedi robes.
It's always in Florida.
Those are the two things I have on order. I have a few different options for robes that I want to do. The ones that Paul basically talked me into are they're basically clone of Obi-Wan robes. They use the same material and everything. It's like this, I don't know what you call the material. It's like crinkly looking
ruffles,
material.
Gauze.
Yeah, it's like gauze material, but it's like crinkled and it looks really, really nice. So I'm thinking of going that route. There were some cheaper ones that was just basically just flat cotton, like a t-shirt style or whatever. But
I showed those pictures to Jen. She's like, tell him not to get that. Don't do it. It's cheap fabric. You don't want it.
I know, yeah. So I'm definitely going to go that route. Now I just need to figure out what my color scheme needs to be. I want to – a lot of people I feel like go – they like to do because you can do 3 different colors on a Jedi for Saber Guild. And it has to be certain colors, but a lot of people like to do like a dark – like a brown under tunic. They like to do a light like cream over tunic, and then they do some wacky color for their tabards and their obi. But I kind of want to do something a little bit more neutral, I guess. I was thinking of just doing like a cream, basically a reverse Obi-Wan, so a cream under tunic and then just everything else brown. So I'm still working through that, but I need to order that, and then I would need to order a belt, which there's lots of sellers on Etsy and stuff that make like the prequel style Jedi leather belt that has like the cool little metal buckle in the middle. And then I'd need to pick up pants. I don't want to have someone make the pants just because they're just like drawstring style. Not really interested in that. So I'd probably just pick up something generic on
just
Amazon.
Off the shelf pants.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mine. Are literally. I went to Walmart and bought a pair of Dickies.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. And then I kind of want to do the Jedi forearm armor. Originally, I wanted to do like all the armor, so like the Kenobi style where it has the bell and the shoulder thing. But just for how much you have to move around in Saber Guild, I thought that wasn't a really great idea. So I'll probably talk to you later, Gunnar, about printing up some forearm armor, and so it'll be the forearm armor and the hand plates, and then that's it.
Yeah, I think you could figure out a way to make the shoulder bells and stuff work if you really thought it through and you broke it down, make it flexible, but that would be a whole nother thing.
Yeah, with Saber Guild it has to be just like 501st where it's all hard plastic and everything. So I know some people have made the shoulder part, the chest shoulder part out of vinyl, or they've made vinyl sections, but I don't think that would pass.
You could, if you decide to go with the shoulder bells or pauldrons or whatever, you could just take on, Vader style, because he had to do the same thing. He couldn't lift his arms up over his head, so
That's
just take on. What? I think that would actually be an awesome style because it's even harder to perfect, and I think Vader perfected it, and he. I think it's cool. I like the chopping, and it's all because he couldn't move his arms, and both for the actor and for Anakin, I guess. But if you were trying,
as an eating for him,
that's right. Is there anyone ever showing interest in being not necessarily a Jedi, but being like a Sith Lord or a rogue Jedi?
I would definitely do a Sith variant for Saber Guild eventually. I was thinking I could start just by getting my Kylo approved. I don't know if the Saber would be dual worthy. I'd have to kind of do a little bit more research, but it wouldn't be a very fun costume to duel in, so I'd want to do – I have a lot of ideas about a Sith version.
Yeah, that's what I think I would do. If I would start off with the Sith.
I just have enough bad guy costumes. I figure I need a good guy costume.
I just want a red lightsaber.
If I was going to try to do a Kylo for Saber Guild, I would probably try to do the Star Killer base coat from the end of Force Awakens, not the big robe, because then you don't have the hood. You got a smaller coat that you're wearing, a little easier to move. Easier to move.
I'd want to do like the wig and stuff, like no helmet, just because I don't see how you could fight with the helmet on.
Well, that's what I was thinking would be a cool part of doing a Sith Lord or something, is you could do a mask or something. You know, typically they have like base paint, or I mean, Count Dooku didn't, but most of them had some type of cool mask, like a half mask or something. You know, kind of.
You got to be really, especially if you're doing like a
I
custom Sith, you got to be really careful about not looking cheesy, because I really haven't seen any like non-canon Sith masks that don't just look totally cheesy. Like
I would totally take reference from Knights of the Old Republic. They had a bunch of, they had different masks that you could get. Different.
They had the one. They had the one that has like in KOTOR 2. It has like a yellow lit T visor.
Oh, I never played the second one. I need to. But yeah, that would be super cool. Get some type of saber. And what is it called? It's saber. What is it?
Guild.
Saber Guild.
Yeah.
Not Legion.
I
want to say Legion.
There is a Saber Legion, but those are people who are actually hitting each other with lightsabers, like full contact MMA style.
Ow.
Saber Guild is choreographed fights.
That's what we're talking about.
It's more akin to a dance. You know, both people know the steps. They're hitting prearranged moves and steps.
Right.
Saber Legion is people whacking each other with sticks.
Nice.
Yeah,
Perfect.
like what you would do with your brother when you were a kid.
Sounds like fun. I'd like to go back to that. All right. Well, I was gonna, have this before being our top story, but just with the segue, we kind of went talking about our projects. But top story this week, I shared with you guys the video of John Boyega. He was given a speech there. I guess it was in London. Because right now, there's it's a wild time, a lot of crazy things going on, and it's happening everywhere. So to hear someone who is from the Star Wars family do something that's very brave, because he even says it in his speech that he doesn't care if he doesn't have a job anymore after this, that he's gonna speak his mind and and share with the rest of the world how he feels about this whole situation going on today. And it was so cool to see Mark Hamill and other people like that send him messages and stuff, and kind of uplift them and let them know that they're supporting him. And that was being definitely the biggest story that we have going on today. It's we don't want to get political or anything, but it's definitely something that I think everybody in our squad and probably the Legion is pretty serious about. I don't know what you guys thought about that.
It's a powerful speech to watch. You can see the emotion.
Absolutely.
John Boyega is such a cool guy. He's like a fan's fan. He's so engaged with the fan base, and I've noticed a lot of the actors from the sequel trilogy they're so big, so it feels like they're kind of like very hands off, like oh, here I am, big actor. But John Boyega is like, I mean, if you see him out in public or at a premiere or something, he'll run up to you and he's like, oh, what do you want me to sign? He'll just talk to you all day until his handlers are physically pushing him along. Like he's such a great guy, and to see him kind of come out in support of everything, and I don't know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because that's just who he is, but I love that about him.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was moving for sure. And definitely it was even cooler that, Disney and Star Wars, they didn't, they supported them. They didn't say, try to stay away from it or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
they immediately supported him too. It was like right afterwards, they were like, "Yeah, this is our guy here."
Yep. So, and in a sense, some people would say that John Boyega was kind of done a little dirty, just because there was a lot of potential for his character development, and there still was a lot of character development, and it was still, he played a huge part of the universe. But I feel like a lot of fans feel that they could have done more. They could have given him a little bit more, and I know he himself has felt a little bit. He's mentioned that he's felt that he wished that it was a little bit different. But after this, maybe not that this was some type of publicity stunt or anything, which we know it wasn't. But maybe after this, they'll give John what he deserves. Maybe we'll get a Finn series or movie or something. That would be
love
pretty cool.
A Finn, I love the sequel trilogy. I mean, we all love anything Star Wars, but I mean the idea of like a reformed stormtrooper after The Force Awakens, it had such potential, and then I mean he just kind of became a member of the Resistance, which is fine, but and they had so many other stories going on at the same time, so it may have detracted from the main part of the story. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. But I think that would be so cool to do like a Star Wars story like Rogue One or Solo, just surrounding Finn, just like immediately after maybe some events or something that we didn't get to see, him struggling with the fact that he has to, shoot and kill his former comrades.
Right. I feel like if you were going to pick up right after The Rise of Skywalker, that's where you'd want to be. Yeah. You'd want to see what Finn's doing. You don't want to, Rey, she's going to do something that, we're not going to be able to follow Rey for this, for her next, for the Skywalker, legacy or whatever. Or maybe, you never know. But I feel like that would be a perfect place to pick up. That would be, and even have Poe, with the Resistance and stuff going on. Even though Resistance does have its own show, which I have yet to watch, so I don't even know what it's about if Poe is in it.
Poe's in it. Poe's in it briefly.
Okay.
I
think BB-8's in it, or at least a BB model.
A couple of BB models.
At least two. BB-8 is in it a bit.
Gotcha. Cool. But yeah, that was our top story. Great job, John.
We could have a whole podcast talking about the sequel trilogy, like the potential, and if people actually expect like an episode 10 one day, or standalone movies surrounding events from the sequel trilogy. I would love to see more of the Sith Empire from the end. I mean, we see so little of it. I would love to see like events between Return of the Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, but just stuff that's happening on that planet, Exegol.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the Sith never got a footing,
Lots of welding.
Yes, lots of welding, yeah. Lots of vocational schooling.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's see. Have you guys watched the most recent episodes of Star Wars Gallery? Sorry.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched any episodes. I'm terrible. I know.
Well, the last one we talked about. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the last three have really focused on the actual making of the show. The other three were kind of, isn't Star Wars great? And, that kind of stuff.
We love Star Wars.
Yes. I mean, it was interesting. There was good stuff there, but the last three have really focused on the actual production of the show.
The last one we talked about was technology, which I think was number 3 or 4. Not sure.
Like
but I have not seen the most recent one, but I have seen the one before that, after technology, which was, oh shucks. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Practical. It was called Practical, which has to do with all the practical effects that they use. So they talk about Baby Yoda. They talk about the prop shop. They talk about the special effects legacy, the special effects group that did all of Baby Yoda's animation and even puppetry and all that crazy stuff. They talk about the miniatures that they did, which was super cool because they, talk about how they were like, oh, maybe we could use one shot of a miniature just to let's see what it looks like. And like, oh, that looks really good. Maybe we'll use more miniatures. And then all of a sudden it became miniatures all over the place and a lot of practical effects. So that was an awesome episode. What do you think, Paul?
It's been really good. The first couple episodes were good, but this is really what I wanted to see, especially learning how they're changing the way they're making everything with this show. The most recent episode really digs into because one of the directors says, normally when they film it, because they do different TV shows, they'll spend 8 days, maybe 2 weeks on a show, and then they move on to the next thing. They said they were working on their episode for 2 months.
Wow.
And it's just, they go through the whole previs and how they use the different technologies to really figure out okay, this is exactly what we're going to shoot. This is exactly what we need. And, almost like how they were editing shots before they'd actually shot anything. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's literally just turning everything you knew about filmmaking and turning it on its ear.
Have you seen any of it, Wayne?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. What do you think? What do you think? Oh, what did you think about? I loved how they mentioned that, and I didn't know this exactly, but the original prop department for the original trilogy, they rented all of the military surplus guns and stuff in World War II and things. And so because they rented it, they could not destroy, take them up. All they could do is take them apart and rearrange them. And so the actual Star Wars blaster look is a very specific look of rearranged gun parts. I kind of was under the assumption that a lot of it was kit bashed, which I know that some of it was, but the actual look, if you were trying to make another model in that universe, you could go out and do it yourself. And that's exactly what they did for this Mandalorian series, is made different weapons using that technique. And that was super cool to see. Do you see yourself ever doing that, Wayne?
I'm doing it right now, actually.
Like a real
a real piece of wood with plastic, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's as real as it gets, baby, for us. Well, that's awesome. So yeah, Star Wars Gallery. The very last episode, I have not seen yet. I'm sure, Paul, you've probably seen it. So
yes.
Now, what is that one about?
That one, remember? It's
is it production?
Yeah, they talk about how they previs a shot. They're using virtual reality and animatics to kind of figure out okay, this is the exact shot we want, and so they would figure it out ahead of time, shoot it, and they would pushing more of what used to be called post-production into the pre-production portion, so that they're figuring out ahead of time exactly what shots they will need.
It sounds like they're working smarter.
Yes.
And not harder.
Which is, having watched all the behind the scenes of the original trilogy and the prequels and everything like that, is completely opposite of the way George Lucas would do it.
But is it original, like the original trilogy? Is it more like what he did back then, or even back then was he still trying to? I know he was a pioneer in CGI, but do you think George Lucas back then also was like, oh no, we have to have practical, we can't have it all CGI? versus the prequels where
mix.
he's like, nope, it's all CGI, baby. But then that's not true though. I guess they did use a lot of.
Yeah, there's more models on Phantom Menace than on any of the original trilogy movies. No, but the difference is George Lucas would have a rough idea of what he wanted, would shoot a whole bunch of stuff, and then would figure out the movie in the editing room and post-production stuff. This is they're figuring it all out ahead of time, and then like, okay, so we need this, instead of like, okay, I'm gonna shoot a whole bunch of stuff here, and then I'll figure out which pieces I need.
It's like the earlier episodes where they talk about the screens being behind the sets. Instead of editing in post, they actually have the background there moving with the ship. So
yeah,
another example of that. Now Evan has pulled out something onto, it looks like, is that Django's blasters?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Where did you acquire those?
So they're just plastic, like little plastic toys, and I don't know if you can still buy them. I think I bought them on Amazon, but I wanted to. It was back before I did Boba Fett, and I was considering doing a Jango Fett. So just out of pure curiosity, I bought these, and I used it was this. It's like a tube of stuff that you rub and buff that got the silver. So they were like just white and orange, and so I got silver. I got silver and gold rub and buff, and
that looks so good.
Yeah. So
they're $9.36 on Amazon.
Are they electronic?
They were, but I gutted them. I had to completely take them apart to do it, and I don't think I didn't put them back together. Not really.
Did it make cool noises at least?
I don't think so, actually. I think the noises were actually really lame.
Oh, well, who cares?
Yeah. So I was considering doing a Jango Fett.
They usually are.
I went the Boba Fett route instead, but I still have these from the old days.
I love the idea of doing a Jango. He captured my imagination more than any of the other. I liked him more than I liked any of the Jedi whenever that came out. I thought he was so cool. Jango. He was like a gunslinger. Yep. And had the grappling hook and all that stuff. Had the jetpack. It was so cool.
I had a toy where you could take his helmet off, and I just played with that all the time. I think that's probably where my love of costuming came from, because I always loved. From that, I loved helmets and like toys where you could take the helmet off. And I had from episode 2 at the very beginning when right after the ship blows up and Padme gets off the ship, and then I guess it was like Captain or whatever. It's the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah, he's the Naboo Starfighter guy.
Yeah, he had a helmet that you could take on and off, and I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, the Jango Fett that you had, I think I had the same one. It was one of the Hasbro like action poses where his legs were always stuck.
Yes.
And he had a little nylon string with a grappling hook.
Yep.
And he had both the pistols in the holster, and the helmet would come off. Yep. Man, I'm not a big fan of those action figures, the action poses, especially the Jedi's where their robes were like stuck flowing, and you try to put them into your Millennium Falcon box, and the robes are busting out of the box, so you can't fit the action figures.
And they never stand upright.
Yeah. Yep. But that's a beautiful show and tell you got there. Gotta love Jango.
Yes.
All right. Well, I was gonna mention some recommendations before we conclude the show here. Does anybody recommend anything? Anything you've watched recently? Want to share with anybody?
I've been having a lot of fun watching reaction videos of people watching Star Wars for the first time. And I don't know why I like it so much, other than just I know what to expect. So watching somebody else watch it for the first time kind of makes you feel good, just to watch them like love this for the first time like you did. So I've been watching a lot of those.
I'm gonna have to catch those. I haven't watched any of those.
I wonder how many of those are fake, though. You know, it's like, is that really the first time that you saw it?
Most times, yeah, because the people are so young.
Oh, so these are young people. This isn't like, okay, that makes more sense. This isn't like Tom Hanks, right?
No, I appreciate the fact that you think I'm such a rube that I would think that somebody who is 60 has never seen Star Wars, but
Yep, had to do it. What about you guys, Paul, Evan?
I've been going back and rewatching Clone Wars for the 10 millionth time.
I need to do that.
yeah, I started back over again. Instead of watching chronologically, I'm watching them how they came out.
Are you?
I've never watched them. I've never watched them chronologically.
Oh,
should
it's
do it.
so much fun.
It adds. You figure out like, oh, okay, this episode works because it's here, and you see this character went here, went here, went here, went here.
Yeah.
What I was doing is I was going back and watching all of the Domino Squad arc. You know, all of the ones from Rookies. You know, Fives, Echo, basically every story that had them.
Heavy.
Yeah, Heavy who went kablooey.
Yeah, I do like all the clone episodes where they're doing their training and all that good stuff.
Yeah, anytime you can get clones in the Clone Wars, it was always better.
Yeah,
it's true.
What about you, Evan?
I have been playing Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here. The game is really easy, but there's a really good story. Supposedly, people say that there's 8 classes you can play, and each class has its own story, and it's free to play. So that's like a ton of free Star Wars content, basically. And I'm like, why am I not? I've tried to play it in the past, and I just kind of lose interest. But this time, I'm like, I'm gonna stick with it. And supposedly, the Jedi Knight story is what people call KOTOR 3, like a true successor to the KOTOR game. So I'm going through that, and I'm just sticking through it. I'm not playing any other characters. I'm just going through it. One really cool thing is you get to go back to Terrace, which is one of my favorite locations from KOTOR 1, which is completely destroyed. So you get to see the ruins of the building and like the big undercity structures that are just open to the sky. So yeah, it's pretty fun. But like I said, there's raffles everywhere. But the game is really easy. Like there's not really a challenge until you get to the end game. So I'm purely playing it for the story.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. My recommendation is not really Star Wars related, but it is in a sense because Star Wars was in a lot of ways based off of the Second World War, as far as the TIE fighter dog fights, and maybe that might just be it. I don't know. Oh no, Vader's helmet. How about that? Fascism. And there's a podcast called Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and he does research on different topics, and they're multiple part series. Each episode is at least 2 or 3 hours long. So if you're like me and you are working and you want to listen to something all day, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History it's awesome. They've got not just World War II, but they got World War I. He talks about even ancient times, as long as it's historical, and a lot of times war related. It's really, really interesting. This most recent one that he let out was about the Pacific, specifically like the Japanese Navy and stuff like that. So he does so much research. It takes him 6 months or so to come out with an episode, and so one just came out this past week, and it got me really excited because it's I think part 3 or part 2 or part 3 of this series called Supernova of the East, or in the East is what it's called. But if you have time, check that out. That's really interesting, and it gives you a little bit of a history lesson. And as it says, it's hardcore history, so it is not, for the faint of heart. He talks about everything. I mean, the goriest stories and the most, things that you could not possibly imagine that people did to one another. But it is history, and it's interesting. So if anybody's looking for something like that, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, it's good stuff. But if that's it, I don't think we have enough time to check out the helmet, because we've been running a little long here this time. So, but we'll get it next time for sure. Yep. And so thank you guys for joining us.
Paul's always upstaging me.
I've been playing this thing all day.
You brought blasters to a lightsaber fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we know how that's
Poor
going.
choice. Yeah, blasters are so uncivilized, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, be sure to check us out on Spotify, and you can go on Facebook, check out the Serenno Squad or Garrison Tyrannus or the 501st Legion, and you can find all sorts of information on how to join or to request events. Right now, it's not looking too hot, but
You can go on Instagram too.
On Instagram as well. Thank you, Evan. Appreciate it. All right. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.